And we are back with our finale. It's the second night of 2 nights for the 5th anniversary live stream event extravaganza. The epic conclusion to the film that came out 5 years ago. Here we go. I still can't remember what happened, but I am not alone. Like yesterday, I have some faithful comrades. Joining me first, writer, producer, at least credited as such, and doing far more than any credit could entail. My good friend, Jordan Morris. There he is.
Good to be back.
Another producer-type fellow who is used to the harassment and yet still comes back for more in every iteration, from podcasts to cross-country tours and the Power Tour itself, Mr. Glenn Stanway.
Greetings, everyone. It's good to... Well, I can't see you, but it's good to talk to you.
You'll be talking to everybody soon enough. A new addition to the broadcast this evening, the Meister of musical 8-bit medleys, Mr. John McCarthy.
Tongue twister. Started with a tongue twister.
It's all about the alliteration, my friend.
Good to see all you guys again, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while. And of course, the video game rock star, Stadium J himself, the 8-bit wonder, Mr. Jay Bartlett.
Oh, that is quite the intro. Thank you, sir. Cheers.
All right, so here we are, guys. Jordan, before we get into the second half of this film, catch up everybody on what happened on part 1 of Nintendo Quest, the live stream event extravaganza in honor of its 5th year anniversary.
Jay took on your challenge, got on the road, hunted down a whole bunch of games, told everybody a lot about himself and his history, and then
self-serving. Sounds so self-serving.
More determined than ever to complete his quest. Will he? We don't know. We'll have
and where did we last leave off?
In the middle.
In the middle. Yes. So here we are from the middle point on, if you will.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. So as you can see, we are broadcasting to Facebook and we are broadcasting to YouTube. Please send us your questions. Let us know what's going on. JD likes that I have 2 pop filters on my mic that I like to double up for protection, my friend. Matt Miller is also watching the Final Dimension Nintendo Quest. Nathan is saying hello. Hello from Akron. We got Retro Timbo ready for round 2. Shad, our good buddy from Texas, is out there.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
There we go. Yeah. So this is going to be a fun event. Let's get going. We're all over there. Let me start the playback. And here we are. What a horrible night to have a curse. What a great uplifting note to start part 2 on.
Jar Jar Binks. Well, we just lost our audience, so that's great. Except for Jordan, he loves that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, what a great living room.
What do you remember about this, Jay?
I'm waiting for Josh to get back to me. There's Spenny. I'm waiting for Josh to get back to me, and I do this when I'm nervous. I pace back and forth. I still do to this day. And I just remember I was getting this sick feeling in my stomach because things were kind of unraveling with the deal.
So what about me? Question mark. I love that you had to read all the punctuation in the message.
I know you do.
And I love how I had to put on screen that you're reading his message because it wouldn't be clear otherwise.
I got my Han Solo and Carbonite phone case.
But like you mentioned on our previous episode of our Nintendo Quest 5th anniversary live stream event extravaganza, another spot in the film where we don't have music. John, you're gracing us with your presence. Let's talk music of Nintendo Quest. What was that experience like?
It was fun to get back into making some of the stuff that sounded like the music we heard when at least when I was growing up. I think you guys too. Just trying to capture those vibes for, kind of adding to the documentary was a pretty fun task to get to do.
Yeah, I seem to remember like all the times we worked together, me saying, I need this kind of emotion, I need this tone. And you would just come up with little sketches that were 10 to 30 seconds long, and I would loop them, and you would make them actual songs after the fact. And you've turned that into kind of an art form, with this being the first, and then box art, and now action figure adventure.
Right. It was good to start with just listening to some old soundtracks. a wicked way to start things out. Just pulling back all those old tracks from the games that we used to play, and then taking something from there and trying to get inspired by that stuff was really fun.
Jay, now that you're watching the scene, does it bring back any memories?
A lot of anxiety. Yeah, because I was pretty sure here, Rob. I think I was telling you, I was done. I didn't want to deal with him anymore, and I didn't think this was going to unfold good on camera. And I was just kind of done. And I'm really trying to pull out here, and I'm getting a little bit more aggressive here, just being like, "Dude, look, like." And then what did he say here? I can't remember.
Love that look.
So he talks about having a few
the
fakes, which is like you're thinking like, I can't take a chance and buy it on the phone. I can't even see it. A picture can be fake. How do I know that this is a lot of money? And he's like, oh yeah, I've had fakes. It's common. Like you should take a chance.
And that was it, right? You could see it in my face, like bang, the light bulb goes off. I'm like, okay, we're done. I'm out. That's enough of this.
So Claude asks, Jay, do you still work at a video game store? If so, have you got a lot of positive feedback from people that walked in and maybe recognized you?
I don't want to really comment on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask us any questions. We can't promise you'll like the answer.
Yeah.
We can't promise you'll like the answer. And Jay, you were asked yesterday if you still had all the rare games from this, and you said, "Oh yeah, no, I kind of got them." I don't know if that was just a little.
No. They asked me if I kept it after for a while. Not if I still had them. It was like, did you still have them a couple months or something?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So Nathan wants to know why the deal fell apart with Josh. Seems like Josh self-destructed and it spiraled.
Well, he just wanted me to send the money blindly, and it just didn't feel right. That's what your gut tells you, what's right or wrong. That's really the only thing you can truly go on in this world. And my gut was just flipping. It was like, nope.
I seem to remember he didn't even want to do like half and half or 10% down or anything. He's like, he wanted everything up front.
Well, his deal gets worse all the time, right? It was like Todd Rogers was going to bring it, and then that changed, and then it changed again. I'm like, you know what, man? We're eating up too much time here with this story, and I just.
Well, yeah, like what do you mean we're eating up too much time? The editor gets to decide that. But more importantly,
I'm running the show. I'm running the show, Chuckles. And
more importantly, we were about to leave in 2 days for the second trip. And for you to send that money meant you had to go to the bank and get a bank draft, and then you were going to send it off, and was it going to be back in time? There was a whole bunch of things, and he just started getting squirrely the more pressure you put on him.
And then he kept saying he had this game and Little Samson and that game, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah. So here's John Pompa, one of our good buddies. I don't know if he's in the chat watching. But this was a section that I didn't know too much about when we started the film Competitive Gaming. I mean, it sort of kind of like crept in the more research we did in the early days of who we're going to focus on and what we're going to do. And like John reached out and we got in touch with Mason, and then Matt and Michelle. Like, there's all these awesome guys that are keeping the scene alive. And that's when everything started to click, that it wasn't just necessarily about game collectors bringing nostalgic relics from their past. Now, that was shot in my office in Vegas with Mason.
Yeah, I remember this scene when you showed it to me. I was just blown away by Mason's just. You have to have a certain kind of mind to be able to deconstruct stuff like this. Like, I don't even know what he's doing. Right? It's just amazing his skill that he has.
Michelle chimes in. Everyone looks so young. Yes, we remarked that more than once. On the first part, Michelle, how come you haven't aged? You're looking great there, darling. Come on now. Claude says, will there be any type of sequel to Nintendo Quest? Another question we got in part 1, possibly a different take on the hunt concept. Well, stay tuned as we will talk action figure adventure, I'm sure near the end of the show.
Quiet, you Palpatine.
Any other thoughts, guys? Everybody's just kind of like locked into the cut.
Yeah, no kidding. We're watching the movie now.
Thor was a fun trip that Sarah and I did. We took a special trip just to Dallas. It was, a quick, fly in, shoot with Thor, fly out of there. Super accommodating guy. Never met him, before that. He was just, again, welcomed us into his home. He filmed with us for like 2 or 3 hours. He's happy to just tell us whatever, we wanted to. And he was super open, really down to earth guy.
I believe if I remember the story correctly too, Rob, you said Thor was pretty sick there and he still wanted to do it as well.
Yeah, he was feeling under the weather, but he knew that we had flown along. Why I'd come from Vegas and Sarah had come from Canada. So he didn't want to let us down. He wanted to make sure that we got what we wanted and we were happy, and tried his best to keep the energy up.
He's a fascinating guy. His story is really compelling.
And they really capture it in Ecstasy of Order, which is a bit of a Tetris documentary, if you will. It kind of focuses on the first World Championships of Tetris. So that's a really great film you got to check out.
This right here was the second trip to ANC in Toronto, and we spent a lot of time here. I think it was like 2 or 3
Oh my God,
hours.
Jay, do you remember the difficulties we had at this second trip, though?
So I'll just say that I had to get Mike to help me with the app because there were so many games to get. But yeah, the store owners weren't there, and then the guys looking after it they were not nice to us. They were really...
Well, it's not that they were not nice. They didn't really believe us. It was Fan Expo weekend, and the owners were at Fan Expo, so they couldn't really, it couldn't authorize anything on their behalf. So,
this is London. Kmart, I was pretty shocked here. You could see there's a point, I think, when I actually have tears. Because I was holding those boxes, and like, how often do you see something like that?
Retro Timbo wants to know how hard it was not to point out games that Jay overlooked. To be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to the stuff that he was looking at because I was trying to direct a couple cameras and get everything covered and shot together. But this is the scene that inspired the series, at least in part, for Video Game Box Art. And there's footage of our encounter with Mark. Jordan, do you remember going up to Portland and filming all this?
Oh, yeah. This was great. Mark's a great guy.
Yeah. And to meet one of the artists who had the prints for sale there, who was willing to come on camera if we showed up early, it was just awesome. It's just awesome.
It's not the same to see the art digitally rendered on a box or online or something like that. Is not the same to see the originals that he actually created. So you get a sense of his process, and just to hear an artist like that talk about how he gets things done was really fascinating. So it's super cool.
Claude wants to know how many additional stadium events have surfaced since 2013. How many are known to exist? Well, at the time, I think there was only like 6 or 10 or something, but somebody had like a fresh case of 25 that surfaced or something along those lines. So
what? Really? I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was 6 when we were filming.
The 6 was referring to the box. There was 6 boxes in existence, and then that case was found. But I don't know if it affected the price of it too much. But yeah, there was a sealed case, like a factory sealed case of them.
Who was sitting on that? That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah.
Some collector. JD likes to pick on Jay. He got gun knack during one of his during the infamous Warp Zone Day, Part 1. Nathan wants to know what game was the most satisfying to get, stadium events, or was there another game that was more exciting?
Well, we don't know what's happened yet, so I really can't say. Let's wait till the end. Then I'll answer that question.
Oh, shut down. JD's rousing you. He says you were too focused on the Jetsons to realize that he had gun knack.
I love you, buddy. You know I love you. There's no hard feelings at all. And shortly after, JD and I became friends on Facebook, and it was, he's just a good dude. He's a thief, but he's a good dude.
The Lex Luthor, indeed. This was a sequence, too, talking about box art that I thought about putting up sooner in the documentary. But again, it just didn't feel right to underscore something. Like, it felt too heavy-handed to say, oh, these things are so important. But coming in later, it felt like, okay, yeah, everybody can buy into it, that they are important, and connect the dots a little bit on their own.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, well, look who has decided to grace our presence. Miss Sarah Mulholland. She's apparently done doing the bigger, better projects for the day and can spare a few moments for us.
Oh, look at this, boys. Look at this shot, how burnt out we are coming out of there.
Oh, we are so
Dude, we're so fried.
That was a long drive.
This parking lot we were in, I think it was the game store, and I remember
in St. Louis.
Oh,
because remember we had gone to the mall and filmed in 2 stores there. They didn't want to sign releases. So we're like, oh my God, where are we going to go? And Jordan found this store off the beaten path, so to speak.
It really was in the middle of nowhere.
It was really out there. Yeah. And then that long hike from St. Louis to Dallas. Oh my gosh.
There's PSP.
It was a fun day.
This was a fun little segment that he concocted all on his own.
Rob loves this kind of thing. He does a lot of this in the Power Tour.
What?
Where I don't know what's going to happen, and then I show up, and it's like I got to play some little reindeer game, jump through some hoops.
I love when you don't know what's going on and you're completely out of the control of the situation.
Most of the time.
Yeah, those are fun buttons to press because you're helpless to whatever designs I've concocted, and it always works.
It does. I have to say the payoff's good. This is great. I can't believe. Yeah, I really felt like I got punched here. I was like, holy crap. Because I was like, this is not going to be good. Because I had the first 2 and then that third one. That was just random luck that I pulled the best one out last. That was random luck.
There was no fancy editing on that at all.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Cheetahman shirt.
Yeah, yeah, because we had stopped with Pavich at that point already too, which was another fun excursion. Have we thought about holding an NES convention? No, that is not something we've considered doing.
Jordan, do you remember we're sitting doing the Pavich interview? Remember those big giant bugs? And I was freaking out on the patio.
I got that beat. Jordan, do you remember with Jay sitting down when Greg Pavich took us out to dinner, and Jay's a vegetarian, and the waitress is like, do you want chicken fried steak or chicken fried chicken? And Jay's like, vegetables. So she's like, chicken fried chicken?
Oh, man. All I remember is the serving sizes from that meal. It was crazy.
Texas, boy. It's Texas. What do you want? What did I think I ate bread. I think that's all I had. I had some bread and something. It was all right. It was fun.
God. They basically serve you your body weight whenever you order anything.
Yeah. JD wants to know if any of the carts we bought were fake ones.
No. Although at ANC, I believe the first trip, we find bootleg stadium events, which they didn't try and pull off as a real one. It was clearly a repro cart. And I bought that one too as well.
Matt Miller's joking about Nintendo Fest, and you can look to Mr. Glenn Stanway to organize Nintendo Fest, as that's still an outstanding GamerCast commitment. John, let me ask you about this. You heard what was going on. You may have seen some posts on Facebook about the journey and such.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got everything kind of put in front of you, and all of a sudden being exposed to it, essentially as the first person outside the production crew?
The first thing I thought was, you guys covered a lot of kilometers in that van. You guys were hitting the pavement. I didn't know it was going to be such an intense, geographical affair. That's the first thing that hit me. But I did love seeing Jay go through all the, roller coaster ups and downs through it too. It was just having known the guy for a little bit before that. It was really cool to see him dig into this, world of Nintendo that he's so passionate about as well. So those are the two biggest things.
Right.
But you guys covered so much ground. Did not expect that.
This gentleman here is just, we all fell in love with him instantly.
Jordan, this is you didn't have much to say in part one because you weren't on the road. But what was your impression of Todd Rogers? Because we picked him up from the airport, and then we went to go get a slice of pizza because he's talking about his carport that got ripped off like a goddamn tuna can.
Yeah, such a character, such a great guy. I didn't realize that we became best friends there for a little while. That it was so fun to trade stories with. I was doing live simulations at the police college, and he had a background in being a bounty hunter. And suddenly, we were sharing stories about him owning an auto mag like Dirty Harry and the Deadpool. And I thought he had a deeper story. Oh.
Dude, come on! Look at his haircut.
Yeah, I thought
obviously he's a bounty hunter.
Oh, we should have played up that story more. I mean, and don't forget, in Houston, we walked around that flea market for a good 4 hours on Labor Day weekend and found nothing but one stand being kind of held down by like a 10-year-old kid who didn't speak that much English and didn't even want to negotiate with Jay.
And we were fried. We were out in the sun for way too long.
Yeah. And this was just after that, and finally here we're calming down.
But he didn't care. He didn't complain once. He was having a blast every minute.
Yeah. Claude wants to know, Jay clearly has all the NES games, but what about Rob? Well, I had a pretty decent collection going for a while. It's about 150 carts, but like so many collections I have, it gets repurposed into the next film project that I like to do. I find it's a bit more of a worthy investment after all, rather than something on a shelf, something to share with the world. What do you say? Try by. Oh my God, Oklahoma. Of course. This was another find from Jordan, who was trying to stock the stops up because we had such long stretches of driving. Where can we stop and where can we go?
What is this? The garage guy?
Oklahoma, yeah. The garage guy. Come on.
Yeah. Fortunately, we got there after running out of gas.
Dan?
Do you want to tell that story, Jordan?
Just briefly, yeah. After being on, you're right. We covered a lot of ground. There was a ton of driving, and I drove every mile of this leg, while Rob was in the back, kind of being a producer in his own right and planning things out. I drove every mile, and it got to me after a while. I don't feel as though we were ever unsafe, but I have to admit that my brain wasn't firing properly after a few days of that, and I was reading the fuel gauge in reverse. So we went completely bone dry at highway speeds. And just before basically the last stop on our way out of Texas, before it would have been just a long stretch of nothing. And it was amazing that we started to sputter, and then I peeled off to the right when I figured out what was going on. We hit the off ramp that just happened to be placed exactly where we needed it to be, coasted up over a crest, kind of came to a stop. But before we were dead stop, everybody bailed, got out, pushed the van over the crest of this hill. We rolled down into a little country intersection, did a zig and a zag without any power steering, just cranking the wheel as hard as I could to steer around this center kind of embankment thing into a gas station, filled up, and we're on our way. We maybe missed 5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that my phone was full of video because as I'm jumping out of the car, I tried to roll and get like the side angle of Jordan, like kind of like using his own muscle to turn the car, and I got like 7 seconds of it.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't enough to kind of put in the story. But these are some of the stories that happen around the journey to make it all happen. And this is after we had just dropped Todd off at the airport. We're like, all right, where do we go? Nope, we're gonna have to make a stop.
Amazingly, it didn't slow us down at all. But yeah, we were very, very fried. The other moment I recall is getting off the elevator on one of the places we were at, and
that was the night before.
Yeah, I stepped off the elevator, and you look at the numbers on the wall. It says, room whatever to whatever over this way, room whatever to that way. I couldn't read the numbers. My brain could not actually decipher what the hell those numbers were saying.
So this is obviously a pretty crucial point. That gas station interview with Jay there. After that, that's when Jordan and I hatched the plan to tell Jay that Todd was in with the Mafia, that on Labor Day weekend he was going to make some time to see us, but he had some important business to do afterwards.
This is so fun.
So it's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like children.
Yeah, but you fell for it.
Oh, of course,
child.
Of course I did.
And so we were telling Jay that he had to play it really cool and be careful not to insult the guy because, he had a background in organized crime, and we really didn't know. We didn't know.
Sounds so ridiculous. It sounds so ridiculous.
Just be cool, whatever he says, roll with it. I get Jay's eyes are as big.
And again, whatever we could do to put him on edge because he doesn't know what's going to be behind any door, and now we have to go into this house and down to the basement.
Yeah, and wasn't it like we had to be out of there by 6 or something? Like we only.
Well, we arrived there like at 9, and then we're like, we only have a half hour.
We've
got like a half hour. That's it.
You told me, we only got a half hour, and then we got to get moving. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to be there after that. And he's like, "Why?" I was like, "We don't want to tell you. We don't freak you out." He's like, "You're freaking me out." It's great. And it turns out he's the nicest guy in the world. Literally the nicest.
Yeah, and he's still the nicest guy in the world. Still the nicest guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd's game room is like, I can't even imagine what it looks like now. But
he has just informed me too that he almost has a complete DS collection and 3DS collection. It's a handful of games he needs for those.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive. Claude wants to know, what is the biggest regret you had while making this phenomenal, his words not mine, documentary, if any?
Run out of gas.
Run out of gas. The biggest regret, Jay?
putting my faith in Fantastic Finds because I really think that bottomed out the quest. Yeah, but that was that was a choice I made, right?
Not going to the East Coast for game stores. Why? I don't know why I chose the Midwest, other than some interviews we were trying to hit along the way to known places. But if we would have went the East Coast, it would have been a completely different film, but we would have hit more game stores because it's a tighter packed area.
Yeah, you've gone right up the East Coast. That would have been a completely different show. But you'd already made, you'd already promised yourself to be at certain places, so we had to work with that.
And this was interesting too, because I told Sarah, I said, Sarah, just keep rolling. And I knew that Jay's mic was on her camera, so that's why we were able to capture all that stuff that was off camera, so to speak. And
you can see
sorry,
here,
Bill, yes, to answer Bill's question, does Todd know how we described him? Yes, he does.
You can see here I'm pretty beat. I'm pretty disappointed. You can see
and you're defeated. You're defeated here.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is not going to happen. There's no way.
Because this was the last stop, right? Pretty
Yeah.
much. And I was like, and he didn't have what I wanted, so I thought, and I was like, oh fuck, man, like. And
you really wanted to go home, and I'm just like, dude, just ask him. Ask him what he's got. You're like, I can't afford any of this. I don't have a lot of money. And of course, Todd just plays it cool. Oh, is this the one you wanted? Let's see. Bonk's Adventure. Let's see. I got one in the box.
Yeah.
Oh, guess I have one on the shelf too.
Hey, you could just see the life come back into Jay as this was happening.
Those are the two, man. Like the top three right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow.
Sarah, have you joined us now? Finally.
I did finally.
Sweet. So Sarah's back. She's done all.
Hey, Sarah.
She's all done her big shows for the day. She's got time for us. I'll send you your honorarium here, Sarah, for your time.
It's John.
It's John. Yeah, we had to have a replacement in case you couldn't make it, and John wasn't available yesterday. So
I'm not doing big things.
Well, John, chime in whenever you want, brother.
Good to see you too, Sarah.
I actually have a question for Glenn. I'm curious, Glenn. You've seen this movie like 20 million times.
I've seen it.
What's your favorite, like your favorite part? If you could stand any of the parts anymore.
My favorite part's probably the living room scene where you're cleaning the games. I think that's a lot of people's favorite part, and that feels like it's kind of a trite answer, but I think that really kind of gets at the heart of what the film is about for me. And that comes back to something somebody asked last night, and somebody asked something similar in the chat tonight, but people keep asking, well, what's the sequel? What's the next quest? Is there going to be a Super Nintendo quest? Is there going to be something else? And to me, the problem is not the system or what you want to collect. It's finding the proper story to tell. And that's where I feel like it's hard to have it not be less than in comparison.
Yeah, for sure. That scene turned this into a personal story instead of just a gimmicky kind of dare or, kind of a bet.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jay was so willing to share that much of himself really elevated the film and made it, I think, a lot more emotionally impactful. So I was really excited when I got to see that footage.
And I guess further to that, if I can tease Action Figure Adventure a little bit, I think that is why Action Figure Adventure is a great follow-up to this film, and we'll obviously talk about that later.
Jordan, so is that your favorite scene then, the game cleaning scene then?
If it comes down to scenes, yeah. My favorite details are more the playful stuff, like the History 101 and the freeze frame bings, like
call outs.
I love those. I think that really gives it a lot of character, but
that was another you thing that you added. You're like, man, the guy's wearing a Nintendo shirt. How do we call attention to that? I'm like, well, hang on a second. Bing. Let's just do that.
Yeah. And that it started to really take shape, with that stuff. And like I say, with Jay's story, because that's what makes your other film, Missing Mom, so impactful too, because it's a very personal journey. And without that, it's just like they say in the movie business, it's just a series of events, but it's not a story.
Yeah. John, what's your favorite scene?
That's a good question. Trying to.
He's never seen it.
Here. It's funny when you've seen something so many times and then trying to pick a favorite. I like I mean, anything with
Copy my answer, John. Just letting you know.
what's that?
Just take his answer. It's okay.
You can't copy my
Yeah,
answer. I'm
okay.
just
I'll
letting
just
you
have a cleanse set.
Okay. Quick note on the edit. This is the first time that I switched up the editing style for the day too, where we're jumping around from all the locations and we're not seeing it sequentially or linearly play out. We're kind of doing the intros, then the middles, and then the ending. So you don't really know if he does it at the end. You're kind of guessing game where he's at, what's going on. It's just kind of a whirlwind of confusion. It didn't work at any other time that I tried to do it, and it really helps strengthen what eventually happens here. Sarah, what is your favorite scene in the whole film for whatever reason you determine?
Yeah, Sarah, what's your favorite?
I would say Todd's house, the with the super video games in the basement and that sort of surprise. Like I didn't even know what he had by looking at his house and going to his workplace and just, just seeing their family, their lovely family, and then seeing the basement was just being there for that.
Yeah. That's my answer now.
Okay. My favorite scene is what's going to come up, which is 6 months later. And that was always going to be my favorite scene because I always wanted to know how this 30-day mission was going to change Jay. Whether he got all the games, and clearly we're showing that he did not here, or he didn't get all the games. What's his life going to be later? How is he going to be different? That's what I like. And that scene that we're going to see very soon in the van where Jay talks about opening Christmas presents and people watching him. That's my favorite moment because it is so awkward. It's like it's talking about the movie too, and like this is going to be out there, and what are people going to think of it? And this is his mission, and what does it matter? So
my boy is my boy, John. That music when I don't do the quest, it's like that big for whom the
church
bell
bell. Yeah,
I'm like, fuck, man, like oh shit.
I know.
And like it hits you. It's like he didn't do it. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, the whole haircut change.
Haircut?
At first I was so angry. I'm like, why are you cutting your hair, man? It's like going to be a huge continuity thing. And then I thought, you know what? This is 6 months later. He is literally a different guy. We're jumping in. We haven't explained anything. It just works.
Do you want to know why?
And we're not saying anything to you either. We're not giving you an inch to kind of draw from.
The girl I was with at the time, she's like, I really don't like your long hair. I'm like, okay. And I remember shaving my head. So this is it growing back. And I always wanted to try the Oasis thing. And
hey, Nathan, I saw your question. Ask us later when the film's done so we can address that specifically. Does Jay still play NES games? Never, often, once in a blue moon, Jay?
Sort of. We're all pretty busy doing our own thing. Once in a while I do.
Here's an important question for you, Jay, from Bill. What was your thought process after failing the initial 30-day goal or challenge? When did you decide that you still needed to finish the quest?
I wanted stadium events, and Todd made that possible. So, yeah.
So here's an interesting thing. Retro Timbo says he watched this 4 years ago, and honestly, he was surprised when Jay didn't get them all. Well, which is very kind of you, depending on your perception going into this, because everybody in the world seemed to tell us it's impossible from the beginning. You'll never do it. You'll never do it. And frankly, that made me want to go on this mission so much more just to see how far we could go and see how close we can get.
Yeah, I hear I'm pretty nervous. It was a pretty quiet van ride. I remember. I think you guys made it.
We didn't say anything. I told everybody, don't say anything to Jay.
So when I'm in silence, as Rob knows, I start talking because I don't like quiet. So I'll just start saying stuff, and I just started saying what was in my mind, and I think it turned out pretty good.
And so people ask how come Dino Peak wasn't on the list. Well, that's a title that you end up actually getting as well. It's in the case beside you, and a few other titles. It's like, well, that wasn't on your list. And, we, like we said on the last time, we had our reasons to exclude it. So there's Dino Peak, for example. Yeah. So you did end up getting it.
Excuse me.
Color Dinosaur. Oh, my goodness. Jordan's favorite game.
Greatest game ever.
The most nervous out of anything right here, out of anything I've ever done, is this scene right here. 100%.
And I think for this, it was Sarah and I filming. Tyler wasn't with us at this point.
Yeah.
And we were going to be at Todd's house much earlier in the day, but we had to take a unexpected trip to Hamilton Mimico Go Station, the opposite direction, because Sarah forgot her passport.
Forgot about that.
Oh,
But it was pretty awesome because who had your back, Sarah? That has always been so kind to you and was always an awesome gentleman to me. Was your dad, man? He was so awesome, and he said, "No problem, I'll do it." Like he didn't even really question it. He got in the car and drove from Ajax and met us.
yeah.
That was wicked.
So embarrassed.
No, it's cool. Like, hey, shit happens, and while we joke about it, like it is what it is. So here's Jay holding the cart and the box because Todd didn't want to separate them. So it's not just Jay getting the cart; it's getting a box as well.
I have a production question, Rob. Why did you have the lights off here?
Because there was a lot of light in here, and we didn't have camera-mounted lights at that time that were working, so we were kind of beholden to the light in the room.
It's really cool.
That's Sarah's angle, and you can tell she knows how to shoot and adjust the iris, and that's mine. You can tell I don't.
Except the flicker. Couldn't change the shutter angle.
Yeah.
But we got the flicker.
But there's my cool drift down to what Jay's looking at, and the rack focus.
Yeah, describing that as a game room really doesn't do it justice. That is an entire floor.
Yeah.
I called it the layer. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He's been watching the entire time. Todd Curtis
nice.
watching himself talk on screen. This was such a fun night. Yes, thank you.
He's such a handsome devil too. Look at him. He loves it. Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say this film and Todd changed my life. Really did. It honestly did.
Watching that all come together was pretty exciting in the moment too. We all knew what was happening.
And what was cool was like we knew that you were going to get this, Jay, and so I felt like it was just a matter of kind of figuring out the best way to capture it all, even not knowing how you were going to react or how it was all going to go down, and just like letting it all play out with cameras, kind of covering in the best possible way. But it was a very relaxed part of the shoot, and this was part of the interview here that we were on Todd's driveway for 2 hours or so.
This was so grueling. It was you and Jordan. And you were grilling me about all these questions I didn't have answers to. You kept asking me, "What do you want to do now with your life?"
Yeah, what does this mean? How does this change you? What happens?
I didn't have
next?
an answer. And
no, you're like, I don't know. I got games. I play games.
It's funny. Eh? It's a good one.
Aww.
We needed the closing moments.
I'm bummed I lost that scarf, man. That was my favorite scarf.
Him.
Him. Oh, not this shot.
But what's interesting about
look at
this
mouth
shot?
Breather. Look at the mouth breather. Look at this kid.
But this is the first time in the entire trip that you slept in a bed on the road. Every other time you slept on the floor.
I don't like beds, man. I never have.
No, you're worried about hotel germaphobe diseases and stuff.
Well, and you were. You just jumped in there naked a few times, I remember.
Twice. Your bed.
Hey, look at that guy.
You and Dave Grohl.
That shot of the trees at dawn a little while ago actually is probably my favorite shot in the movie. It's just really beautiful.
Thanks. It was shot with my iPhone.
I wanna call out this scene here because I remember specifically saying this stuff. And Sarah, I remember you and Jordan, you guys were getting a little worked up. I remember Sarah was really teary-eyed here. And I think Jordan was a little emotional. But this scene was really powerful, man. And again, it was just you guys had the camera on me and I just started talking.
Well, this is what we were trying to get on the driveway, but you can't force that kind of stuff. We did for too long and gave up, and then fortunately we got it here. But you need this to close the story.
You need some sort of summary statement that it actually adds up to something. So we thought, okay, we'll try again. We've got a 6-hour drive back home anyways. Why not try to get something that adds up with a little bit more energy?
Cool guy pose. He knows he's on camera. Look at this kid.
Well, thankfully we had that like middle road of the car. And the other fun thing is this was a rental car and that matched the other van that I borrowed. So it was like a good swap for the two.
Yeah.
But we had the middle seats kind of taken out, and Sarah was just sitting on them backwards filming Jay. One of the things Jay loves most is being crazy. This was my attempt to show all the different footage that we hadn't shown either for some of the stops, like in Dallas, Toy Rat, the trade with Pampa, Greg Pavich, Ben Gold. Sarah,
Ben
remember falling asleep filming Ben Gold, Sarah?
No.
I didn't think so.
I got a cup from there from Ryan. We have it in our display case. Collector's.
Ben Gold was awesome.
And I have a cheetah shirt.
Sure.
from that.
Sure it was, Jordan. Sure.
It's one of my favorite interviews.
It was good.
Yeah, the more I see these title cards, the more I like it, these chapter cards.
Yeah.
This was one of my only attempts to actually do some acting.
Because I knew exactly how I wanted it to end.
And I wanted to do the Indiana Jones thing right here. So that's me trying to be Harrison Ford right here.
Which mimics the garage scene going up
Yeah.
that we shot specifically.
Yeah. This is great. Look, like I'm like Brad Pitt's acting coach. That was
No,
great.
but I cut off the reaction that you wanted to do. You wanted to throw the horns and be like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I cut you off like before you could do it. You were just more surprised, like in the moment. So, and here's
Well,
more
you
8-bit
said,
us's.
what do you want to do next summer? And I was like, oh, we're doing this again? And then
Yeah,
okay.
well,
You're like, I don't know, maybe we'll see.
Here's another, again, high production animation sequence that if you're lucky enough to make it to the end, you got to check out.
Why the hell do I have all gray here? I know it's close, but it's not all gray.
Well, 8-bit colors don't give us a lot of variation, my friend. But I thought it was fun to give all of us a different level to kind of represent the different stages and stuff.
Brienne, yeah.
She's doing a Glass Joe's butt there.
It's the microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the big question that I alluded to earlier, Jay. Can Jay show us the stadium events cart and box from the film?
Jay cannot, because Jay does not own it anymore. So I'm sorry to say.
Are you? Are you sorry?
I'm not sorry. No,
Yeah.
I put everything in and put it towards a house with my girlfriend at the time, and that's what I thought was the right thing to do.
Of course, yeah. Exactly.
Well, like I like to say, once you have a dream and it becomes tangible, it's a lot less special.
Well, and let me say too that those games sat in my game room for years, and I looked at them every day, and of course I'm proud of what we all did. But at some point, it's like I can really take this and do something with it. So I did. It doesn't mean I don't like games. Doesn't mean I don't like Nintendo. But yeah.
Yeah.
Onward.
Yeah. And so the
Onward.
credit sequence here is, again, me putting a bunch of Kickstarter backers in as well, but also wrapping other footage in for other topics that we couldn't really do a full-on segment in the film. And I needed something to take up time for all the games that we showcased in any capacity because they all had to have legal documentation. And there was a lot of games that we showed, even if it was just for a few frames. So we needed to cover it up. So what do you think, guys? That's it. 5 years since it came out, 7 since we shot.
I really like how you did the end credits here with all these little interviews. It was really cool. Kind of reminds me of, the old comedies that used to do the outtakes, like Cannonball Run and stuff like that.
Right.
This was definitely Cannonball Run.
But this kid here, yeah.
Yeah, it goes a long way to help kind of illustrate the community that was built around this movie.
Yeah.
That was a really special part of it, too. A lot of people came together to help support, even if they weren't directly involved, just the energy that they threw at us. They were really encouraging. They were really excited about what we were attempting to do. And that was very cool.
So we've talked favorite scenes. What were the favorite moments, guys, that you remember about production? Jordan, we'll start with you and we'll just go down the side. Favorite moment in production? Beaver Nuggets?
Beaver Nuggets. I just thought the garage in St. Louis was hilarious.
In Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, sorry, yeah. Was really funny. Not in the moment, but in reflection as we were driving away, that was hysterical.
John, what was your favorite moment that you remember when we were working on music and trying to get this thing together so it actually felt like a film? But I will say my favorite part of all the stuff that I get to work on in the making process is when John gives me his first pass, because now it feels like a movie because it all kind of sounds better and comes together, makes the camera stuff look better. What was your favorite part, John?
Other than actually being involved with you guys in person in Vegas, which was super fun. I like Sarah said before, the game layer. When you go into the game layer, and the music that we had for that is kind of like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a Battletoads kind of vibe, and it was just. And when I kind of saw that sync up with like going down into this giant cavern of this guy's collection, I was. That's probably my favorite moment for me, just the synchronicity there and that little scene. But
Jay, we're gonna skip over you. Glenn, what was your favorite part that you saw kind of unfold from behind the scenes, maybe since you weren't on production for the film, when you started hearing about stuff?
I really didn't. I really didn't see much of the production stuff at all. I had fun doing my interview. That was fun, and I'm glad that my sweet
we
one-liner
filmed for a couple hours and you got one line.
One line squeaked in. It's okay. No, it was just it was exciting to see it come together. It was exciting to hear what you guys were trying to do, and it was most exciting to see that just that there was a finished product, let alone the fact that it was really enjoyable and told a great story about somebody I care a lot about.
Sarah, what was your favorite production moment?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I liked going to all the different markets, like flea markets, and watching Jay discover things, and just there were so many things for me to shoot that looked nice. I just really liked those the few moments that we did that. I also liked just the interviews, being able to sit down and work like light and sit and work with the people. And
when I allowed you to have time to do your job well and didn't rush you. Certainly guilty of that more than once. Jay, your favorite production moment?
Every day we worked fucking hard, and then after we played fucking hard. And I just remember
that first trip was a lot different than that second trip.
The second trip was awesome. When Jordan came aboard, it was awesome, man. And I just remember not getting much sleep and didn't care. At one point we're like, when are we going back? It's like
I loved when you bought the Fairchild Channel F in Austin, and that brick of plastic sat on your lap in that box all the way to Houston and then all the way back, and you had like no room to move. Oh,
I didn't care, man. I loved it. It sat on my lap the whole time, the sun beating down on it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about really what it was like living in that van all day, every day.
6 people.
6 people. And all the equipment. That was not comfortable.
And hot and sticky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Claude wants to know how many games I got. Yeah, Sarah sat in the back with Brienne, and then it was Tyler and Jay, and then Jordan and I up front. Claude wants to know how many games I bought. I think I bought like 6. Not much, to be honest. I was too busy worrying about the other logistics of what's going on. I think my favorite production thing was just the routine that we got into. The getting up, doing the crew breakfast, everybody together. Okay, everybody's got their stuff. Let's get in the van. Let's hit the road. Putting movies on in the van, talking. Like just being in the car, talking and passing the time. And then getting to the next spot, getting to check out the store first, usually going in with Jordan to sign the release, then showing Sarah and the rest of the crew, and Jay having to wait outside, and then just capturing everything that came in. Just that routine and actually figuring out how to get to that point was awesome.
I've got another thing. One of my favorite things, now that I think about it, wasn't on the travels. I was focused on the travels when I gave my answer, but I really enjoyed going down to Vegas and shooting in your living room and basically building that set with all the bits and pieces that we collected.
Sure.
That's fun. It's maybe a segue to your promotional blurb at the end here, but it felt like the days when you were kids playing with toys. You'd go over to your friend's place and you'd kind of build something and then kind of goof around for a few hours.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I can get to that type of thing anymore. When we put a movie together, it's like, it's a lot like it was when you were kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like playtime, but we get to call it work, which is a good excuse to get everybody back together. Texting last night with Jordan after it. I know I was wired, just reliving some of that and having you guys, at ears reach away. And he's like, let's light another project. Let's greenlight another one. Get the band back together. It's like, oh, if only we could do that. A couple more questions here. Bill Ma wants us to play the voice game that we played in the car, blending all the impressions together. Jordan, do you remember that?
Oh God, yeah, but I wasn't very good at it. You guys have been doing it for
Nobody's
years.
good at it. That's
I'm
the funny
good
part.
at it. I'm good.
No, you're not, Jay.
No, you
you're
remember
not.
I was in the back seat and I would practice. It would be like,
Here's the line. Where we're going, we don't need roads, and I want to hear it as Darth Vader.
I'm not doing it now.
You're doing it. You said you were good at it.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right. And now I want you to add Miss Piggy to that.
Kirby. Where we're going, we don't need roads. That's Yoda just came out there for some reason.
And now I want you to
There's the
add.
first brain bubble right there.
Now I want you to add Slimer to it.
How does Slimer sound? I don't
Okay,
know.
Snarf. Add Snarf to it.
Oh, roads where we're going.
And this is how we pass the time in the car.
Oh, I got a headache.
Claude wants to know what state did Jay buy the most games in? If we had to guess, I would say probably Pennsylvania, between Pittsburgh and Du Bois. A lot of games bought there. Maybe Ohio, although Cincinnati, part of it's technically in Kentucky, so that's hard to say too. I did want to segue into the next project that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for everybody here that's watching and everybody here that made Nintendo Quest, and that is Action Figure Adventure. Not only is it the 5th anniversary of Nintendo Quest, but tomorrow night is the world premiere of episode 1 of Action Figure Adventure on Super Channel, Jinx Esports TV. This was a series that we've been working on for the last couple of years. It's Jay collecting again. John, you did all the audio for it. Jordan, you were involved in a couple different ways. On camera this time, not part of the crew. Glenn, you were on camera as well for this one. Sarah, you weren't available. You were busy with bigger projects.
She's hanging out with JJ
You didn't
Abrams
ask.
again.
You didn't ask.
This is true. I didn't ask. This is very true. I can't afford you anymore. You're too fancy for our budget. Jordan, what do you think of Action Figure Adventure? You've had a chance to watch some episodes, as has Glenn.
Yeah, it's familiar. It's a similar experience to Nintendo Quest, but it's cool that it's a series. It's not just one sit down. You get to enjoy a few episodes. And that one was fun. The interview that you chopped up into bits and pieces of, I don't even remember recording, so I'm going to enjoy watching it because I can't remember what I said, but it's good. And once again, it's about community. It's about trying to accomplish goals that may seem kind of out of reach, and about tapping into your friends and all their resources to help out. And, it takes you back to childhood through a slightly different doorway, and this time through toys and action figures instead of video games. And it's very cool. I enjoyed my part in that one as well.
Yeah, let me say for everybody that might not know what Action Figure Adventure is, it's Jay hitting the road, this time not collecting for his own pursuit or his own collection, but doing so in the name of Children's Health Foundation, critically ill kids that can use all the support as possible. So Jay hits the road, fronting the cash for what he's calling the ultimate action figure auction, going town to town, trying to find the coolest, rarest, and best pieces out there. Like I said, creating an auction, and whatever everything sells for, after Jay gets the cash he fronted back, the difference goes to Children's Health Foundation. So it's such a selfless endeavor, and that was one of my requirements. If we were ever going to do something like this again, I don't want to follow a guy who's already got a dream and now is on another dream to fill his shelf. This meant so much more, that there was so much more at stake for the people that couldn't, necessarily go and do it themselves. John, you've seen the whole series many times now.
Yeah.
What do you think of Action Figure Adventure?
I like it. It's got that. I like that it has the same vibe as Nintendo Quest, but it is a different premise and it serves a different purpose, especially with the charitable part of the running through as a theme. I really like that. You guys kind of took the chemistry you guys obviously, have been working on for how many decades now, and made it into this kind of new series, and it was a lot of fun to watch over and over again. I didn't get tired of it.
Well, that's good.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign, Rob.
I'll take it. I'll take it all night long. Glenn, what did you think? Because you actually listened to the whole series first before you were able to watch it, because you're listening to it almost like a podcast. What do you think of Action Figure Adventure compared to Nintendo Quest, or what do you like about it? And pump everybody up for that world premiere. Say only nice things.
Yeah, I got the premiere link when I was at work, and I didn't want to wait to see it, but I couldn't watch it because I was at work, so I ended up listening to the whole series first. Then I went back and watched the episodes later. I think it's great. As I said, I think it really solves that riddle of like, how do you follow up Nintendo Quest, because it follows Jay on the next step of his evolution as a person, and I think that was the thing that it had to be about. But you also have the luxury of having a series, and there's so much more you can do when you've got 8 episodes to work with, and
10
longer form. 8 to 10 is what I was going to say.
Really, it only felt like 8.
It did. It felt like 8. So quick, so enjoyable. But when you've got that much more room to play around with, you can tell a much longer form story, which is great. And just selfishly for myself, after my experience interviewing with Nintendo Quest, where, as you said, we interviewed for a couple of hours and I got 5 seconds worth of dialogue in the film, it was actually a really pleasant surprise to see how much more a part of the series I am on camera, which was kind of a neat experience as well.
Part of that, and like Jordan, was a result of interviewing you guys much later in the process. So I knew very much specifically what I needed you guys to talk about so that I could fill in those subsections. But it was great to spend the time with 2 guys that were local, 2 guys I wanted in this, and honestly, just to hang out for a couple hours talking toys. Sarah, you haven't seen Action Figure Adventure at all. Have you even seen the trailer?
No.
Oh, well, this is where we say goodbye to Sarah.
Window closed.
You could have made up, said, yes, I saw it. It's awesome. I can't wait for the world premiere tomorrow on Jinx Esports TV Super Channel. I'll be the first one to watch it. What do you think of the concept, Sarah?
You know what? I might have seen it. When did you actually post it? Because you have so many projects. I don't know if
This is true.
this is fair.
Yeah,
It would have been February 2019. We would have posted the trailer.
Okay, so I think I did see it, but it's an awesome concept, and I'm glad you chose to do something different, like with the charity. I think that's great. I'm excited to see it.
Cool. Thanks. Well, does anybody have any closing remarks? Because I want to end our broadcast by showing the Action Figure Adventure trailer so people know what to expect for tomorrow night, for everybody that can watch it. John, last thoughts?
Looking forward to seeing it actually in real life on the television. I'm looking forward to it.
Sarah, last thoughts? Anything about Nintendo Quest?
Oh, it just makes me nostalgic, and I wish I could do another documentary soon. It was fun working with you guys.
Glenn, any last thoughts about the entire world and beast that was Nintendo Quest?
It was really, really fun to take part in this with you guys. I'm really glad you invited me along to do this. And like so many others, the experience of working around this film was really life-changing for me. It led to a new career and just more life changes that I can even start to name here. So I was really happy to be a part of it, and still happy to be able to take part in these things and see how much it still impacts people.
Jay, any last thoughts about Nintendo Quest before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, man. I mean, again, it's life-changing for everyone involved here, I believe. And I'm just so glad I was able to be a part of it. And fuck yeah, rock and roll, man. It's great.
Well, I want to thank everybody who took the time to watch. It's been a fun 2 nights. Nathan, to answer your question from earlier, yes, we still have a NES game based on Nintendo Quest in the works, and we should have some really exciting news at the end of January. I will tease that it went from collecting 64 games to possibly over 700 finally, thanks to a lot of coding and programming, which will make that NES experience a lot more interesting and lengthy as well. So thank you all for watching this, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. I want to thank Jordan, John, Sarah, Glenn, and Jay, of course, for joining me on this, as it was very last minute. But Jinx and Super Channel thought it was cool, and I wanted to do it, and you guys were thankfully available. So that's kind of the tale of our friendship as well. You're always kind of available when I call at the last moment. So thank you guys very much for that as well.
My pleasure.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. With that, I am going to leave it at the Trailer for Action Figure Adventure, guys. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.